Okay, Shavua Tov, everyone, and Chodesh Tov. Okay, we're in the last stretch now before Shavuos, Rosh Chodesh Sivan, which I want to discuss for a second. But before we start the shir, I just want to mention that this shir is being sponsored by Mayor Bendelstein, one of the illustrious alumni of Neve Tzion. Bezrat Hashem, he should be Zoche, that we're marbitzing Torah, and he has a chelik in it, very important chelik in it, Mitzvah Hashem. We're all coming together to learn, and he should share in that schus, the schus of the Rabbi that are learning. Amen. Okay, Rosh Chodesh. So what I'd like to just point out over here is, in general, whenever we say Hallel, we're celebrating something. We say Hallel on Pesach, Mitzvah Hashem, we're going to say Hallel on Shavuos, etc., Sukkot. Question is that what we want to think about a little bit is Hallel on Rosh Chodesh. What is the Hallel commemorating? What exactly are we celebrating? What exactly are we saying Hallel for on Rosh Chodesh? So, right, I hope that is something that we would like to think about for a second. So I just want to share an idea that I heard. And the understanding is like this. The Jews, as you know, count their calendar both on a solar basis and on a lunar basis. In other words, exactly what's happening now is, since we live here in the Middle East, I think the Middle East is moving to America too, but not as much as it is over here. So today is also an Arab holiday. I don't know, Eid al-Fitr, whatever that is exactly, I'm not sure. But it's after the month of Ramadan. So by the Arabs, they only keep a lunar calendar, and therefore the month of Ramadan keeps moving around as the seasons move. In other words, the difference between the solar year and the lunar year is 11 days. So as you know, in our calendar, every 3 years approximately, we have to add on another month to compensate for that. Otherwise, Pesach would move around just like their holidays move all around, depending on how many years, every 3 years they're losing a month as far as the season goes. And that's where we have to, as I say, we compensate that way. So we not only count, our month is lunar, but we always make sure that Pesach comes out in the spring and that Sukkot comes out in the fall. So therefore, in order to be able to make sure of that, we compensate by adding on a month approximately every 3 years. So that's as far as the technical idea of Rosh Chodesh, and that's how we work out our calendar that way. Why is it that the Jews count to the moon and not to the sun? So an understanding is that the moon rather, has none of its own light. The moon reflects the sun's light. And therefore, the message to the Jewish people is that we have to look at ourselves, that we are looking to reflect something in this world. We are B'Tselem Elokim. We are a reflection of Hashem. When a person would see a Jew, he should be looking at a representative of Hashem in this world. They should see Hashem in the world, and that's our mission statement. We are here to represent Hashem in the world, and therefore, this is one of the messages of Rosh Chodesh, that we look to the moon, because we have to realize, just as the moon has nothing of its own, he's merely just a reflection of the sun, so too the Jewish people realize that it's not us, but rather we are trying to reflect Hashem in the world. Now, if we look at the moon in general, it's a very fascinating thing, in that the moon starts out very small, and then it increases up until day number 15. And then from day number 15, it keeps, it wanes, it waxes and it wanes. It becomes great, it becomes bigger, and then it starts waning until it disappears. For 24 hours, the Gemara tells us that the moon is not visible. After the moon finishes the cycle, for the next 24 hours, it's not visible anywhere in the world, and then it comes back again. So if we look in Jewish history, it's also very fascinating that from Avram Avinu till the generation of Shlomo, those are 15 generations. 15 generations from Avraham until Shlomo, who built the Beis Hamikdash, and when the Jewish people had reached their pinnacle, their zenith, the Beis Hamikdash was built, the Shekhinah was in the Jewish people. The Jewish people had reached their ultimate, and those are 15 generations. From Shlomo HaMelech until Tzidkiyahu HaMelech, who was the last king of from David HaMelech's family, until Mashiach comes, generations there as well. And it keeps going down, 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 until finally Tzidkiyahu was blinded by Nebuchadnezzar when he was taken away to Bavel. So we see that the Jewish people as a whole also have this historical process that we go through our waxing, we grow great, and then we go down. And then Chas v'Shalom, like I say, with the Golus, when the Beis Hamikdash, it looked like the Jewish people were gone. And then they came back again. So this is the message of Rosh Chodesh, that number one, we are reflections of Hashem in the world, and that's how we have to look at ourselves. And number two, that we're always going through different periods. There are periods where we're becoming greater, there are periods when we're going down, but we're always here. And that's the guarantee that Hashem has given the Jewish people, is that we're eternally here. And that is the message of the moon. The moon is teaching us, it becomes big, goes down, and it disappears, and then it comes back again. That's the Jewish people. So in a certain respect, this is what we're celebrating on Rosh Chodesh, and this is what we're saying Hallel all about, on the Haftocha, the bracha that Hashem has given the Jewish people, that we are here for eternity. And specifically, now that it's Rosh Chodesh Sivan, so now the Jewish people have come together. This is an opportunity, because as I said, on Rosh Chodesh Sivan, it mentions, says, Vayichen ha'am neged ha'har, the Jewish people arrived by Har Sinai, and they were one in unison. So if we see on Rosh Chodesh Sivan that the Jewish people came as one unit to be makabel the Torah, then obviously this opportunity comes back again to us. So everything that happened, anything that's in the Chumash is eternal, and the message of the Torah is eternal. And if this is what happened on Rosh Chodesh Sivan, then it must be that on Rosh Chodesh Sivan, this opportunity to come together again as one, and to work as a common unit, to prepare ourselves to be makabel the Torah, then this is our opportunity, and we need to take full advantage of it. Because as it says in, Rashi brings down, Vayar Vayika Yom Hashishi, By all the other days, when in creation it mentions Yom Echad, Yom Sheni, Yom Shlishi, Yom Revi, Yom Chamishi, Yom Hashishi, the extra hay. So what does the extra hay represent? So Rashi quotes the Medrash, and he tells us it represents the 6th day of Sivan, on the day that the Jewish people makabel the Torah. Because on that, all of creation was waiting in the balance, because all of creation only came into existence al Tanai on condition that the Jewish people would would at then be makabel the Torah. If the Jews wouldn't, then there would be no point to creation, and it would go back to Tohu Vavohu. But this is what we're coming. This is what we're preparing for. We are preparing for our Kabbalah Torah in this month, and it's very important that we, Mitzvah Hashem, come together for this. As I mentioned last week, it is a common effort. The Taryag mitzvahs of the Torah can only be done in combination with all the Jewish people together. There's no one who can be left out, because that's the only way the Jewish people can be makabel Torah is as a complete unit. Okay, so that's the idea that I wanted to share with you now, as far as Rosh Chodesh and as far as Kabbalah Torah. Now I want to learn with you a piece from the Peleh Yoetz, which is somewhat correlated. The piece is Hisorus, an opportunity for a Jew to inspire himself. So he says like this: Hisorus hu klal gadol b'Torah. This understanding of Hisorus, this idea of inspiring oneself, is a fundamental in Torah. V'zeh kol odom. This defines a person. She'itein leiv, a person has to focus, lisorer, in order to inspire himself, liyira, to have an awe of Hashem, uliyahava, it's always this balance between ahava and yira, which push us to move to our completion, to fulfill our mission. Ulakayim kol davar tov, in order for us to move and to accomplish all good things, kitikuno, as it should be done properly. When we do a job, we want to do the job right. We don't want to do a very sloppy job. If we do something, we want to do something that we're proud of, and we try to do it properly. Kedas ma'alasos, in order to understand what to do. V'lim shoch yodo, so that's in the positive, the asay tov. V'lim shoch yodo me'asos kol ra, and to avoid at all costs doing something that will be detrimental to us. But what can a person possibly do? What can a person do in a situation where there is nothing that's inspiring him? There's nothing there, right? Like it says in Pirkei Avos, that what am I supposed to do if there's nobody there to help me? We have to be quite understanding and aware. If we have to know what's out there in front of us. Our Yetzer Hara is putting Tardema is like a slumber. He's trying to anesthetize you. He's putting you in situations, and he's putting in your mind a situation where you are not inspired naturally. That's not the way people are. I once heard the name of the Rabbi, that he said that's why Hashem created gravity, for a person to realize that you're always being pulled down. A person has to work hard to go against gravity. In order to accomplish, you're always going against gravity, because gravity is always pulling you down. That's the lesson we have to take from the natural laws, that you're being pulled down. And this is what the Yetzer Hara is doing to us. He's trying to put us in a certain stupor, not to do things in a very lackadaisical manner. But everyone has an opportunity to correct the situation. And if a person plans it out, he'll be able to fight the battle. Because again, we have to realize, there's something I heard in the name of the Sar Shalom, the Belzer Rebbe. He said that if a general sends his army out, by nature he's going to give them the weapons that they need to fight the battle. No general who's a self-respecting individual, it's not like the Russians who sent their men out there just to take bullets, but a general that's looking to win a war, He's going to give his soldiers what it's necessary to be able to fight that war. So obviously, if Hashem has put us in a situation, I heard once from one of my Talmidim, he said, I have a double dose of a certain Yetzer Hara. And might very well be true, that Hashem has given everyone their combination, their difficulties, but their strengths as well. We have weaknesses, we have strengths. No two people have the same strengths and the same weaknesses. And it might very well be that this person might have an extra weakness, but on the other hand, then obviously he has within his whole composition a strength that will be able to overcome that weakness. And that's his mission in life, to work on that. And a person should never think, well, I'm disadvantaged. There's no such thing as a person being disadvantaged. Everyone who has a disadvantage in one area, and Hashem is by nature, Hashem's not setting someone up for failure. That cannot be. That's an absolute illogical idea. Hashem's not going to put a person in a situation where he has to fail. He just needs to work in certain areas, and he has to pull from certain strength that he might not be in touch with, and he'll have to get in touch with it. But a person has to realize that we're here to fight a battle, that Hashem has given us the ability to fight that battle. I can't fight your battle for you. You have to fight the battle that you have. My war is not your war. We're all fighting different wars over here. And we have to realize that. And I can learn from other people, and I can be inspired by it, see how they were able to take from their situations and what they did. So that can inspire me now to try and work on my difficulties and try to find my strengths to be able to be successful. Okay, that's for sure true. But to follow the footsteps of someone else might not necessarily be what I need to do. So I have to understand that and speak with someone who will be able to give me a proper hadracha for what I need, not what someone else needs, because that's not necessarily going to be what I need. So, but tachbulos yasim milchama, we have to think about it, and that's the only way we'll be able to be successful in the war. Ki be'idna de yetzer harahu, the less limidkar leyetzer tov, because again, we have to realize, just like by a soldier, you always have, they always go through training, because when it comes to war, they have to be like a machine. It has to be second nature by them. Like by Yosef, I once heard, when Yosef was being tempted by Potiphar, by Ashes Potiphar rather, he just ran. There was no time you don't think, you just have to realize, I just run. That's it. Because if I would have stayed another minute, who knows what would have happened. That's what I have to realize, that a soldier has to prepare himself when the situation, when the Yetzer Hara is going to start, is going to put him in a stupor or overwhelm him. So there's no time to start thinking about what to do. It has to be second nature within the person already. So be able to act immediately. It's like a soldier when he's asleep and they tap him on the shoulder, he jumps and he's doing something already. It's like a robot. But that's what it has to be when they say with the Yetzer Hara. The Yetzer Hara, because when the Yetzer Hara is overwhelming me, the less limidkar leyetzer tov. You're not going to remember the Yetzer Tov then. It's not going to work. Afatah, so too you. Kadmei l'risha. You make the initial move to this Rasha Adil before he'll come to you. Like it says, Habo lahor kaf. Someone's coming to kill you. Hashkem lahor, go. You take the initiative. You don't wait for him to come to you. You have to take the initiative. So if we not understand the Yetzer Hara is trying to destroy us, and that literally is trying to destroy me in every way, I have to take that it seriously, and I have to make the necessary preparation to be able to be one step ahead, at least try. And you should do, as I say, in the topic of Geder, maybe we'll do that, Mitzvah Shem, maybe at one point. Shetichtov l'kol davar hisorus. A person should try to write down for himself ideas that will inspire him. Hatzorah v'tikrabo esas, and read it. Read it. In other words, write yourself a letter. If a person realizes that he gets into certain situations where he feels down or he feels unmotivated or uninspired, so what he needs to do, I used to tell the Talmidim very often, to take a picture of them while they're learning, take a picture of them by the kosel, do something that when you look at it, or like he's saying over here, write yourself a note of what what you're thinking for yourself, what you want to do for yourself, and read it over, and don't let the despair of the Yetzer Hara try to overwhelm you, because that's what he tries to do. He looks for any weak point in you and he tries to exacerbate it, to pull down the whole building. And we have to try to work with it and to do other ways to build ourselves up. So I say, try to think about things, or like I said, look at pictures or something like that that would inspire a person. Or besfarim hamedabrim bosuin, or read svarim that talk about it. Today we have motivational speeches. We have all sorts. We have Musar. We have anything you want at any moment. You can go on. You have Torah 24/7 even. With the instruments on 6, and you have someone to speak to. You can get it on 24/7 all the time. If there's something that comes, if it's something that's daily, then you inspire yourself daily. If it's like davening with a minyan, and you're having difficulty going to a minyan or things of that nature, so then inspire yourself every day. If it's something that comes every once in a while, it's always important that right before I know I'm going to be presented with a responsibility, something that I need to do. So then very close prior to it, right before it, read something that will help inspire you to do it. At the right time, it's proper. Just as I say, now Shavuos is an opportunity for Kabbalah Torah. It comes once a year, this Kabbalah Torah. And again, a person can always do tshuva and can always inspire himself. But if we have this is a zman that's mesugal for Kabbalah Torah for a person. If a person really wants to make that connection, then we need to appreciate what is Torah. What does Torah mean to me? What is Torah all about? What is Torah? Try to get an awareness of that. So then I'll push myself to want to do. In other words, if I'm going to stay up all night on Shavuos night, I want to know what am I giving up my sleep for? What is this all about that I'm preparing for? What am I staying up all night for? What is it? And it's not the cheesecake. But Tov LaGever Sheyilmad. Oh yeah, I hope not anyway. But Tov LaGever, and it's important for a person that he should learn. His sorus, he should say over him inspiring things to his family. At each time. No, it's not just myself, it's a family, we work as a family unit. Because if a person verbalizes something, what is this mitzvah? And how to do it properly. What's the reason behind it? Or some chashom, something is inappropriate. What is this aveira? How serious is it? And how a person stay away from it. Gamhu Yosef Das, it's going to add to it. The more you speak it over, if you keep it to yourself, so it doesn't necessarily have all the power that it can have. If a person speaks it out, speaks it over to others, speaks it over with his families, is mentioning over here, it can definitely create a very strong environment to want to inspire someone to do something or to stay away from things that are harmful. Chazik Yosef will become even more committed. The Yosef Machshav Hadvarim will think about it in his heart, but it's over constantly. There's a domela, it's like we say in the Gemara Makos, Harabe Torah Lamadati Mirabosai. I learned an awful lot from my teachers. And from my students, I learned the most. Gam Tov LaGever, right? Because why is that? He's saying, I'm thinking now because when it's Talmidim, because you're speaking it out to your Talmidim, you're speaking to your Talmidim. So when you speak to your Talmidim, you're giving over something to them. So then obviously that's bouncing back on you. It's hitting them, but equally, and if not more importantly, it's bouncing back to you because you have to express it. And if you have to express it and you're being sincere about it, it means you're living it and it becomes part of you. So when you're learning from a Rebbe, you're listening more. When you're teaching your Talmidim, then you're speaking it out. And if you're speaking something out, then it becomes much more you than just by listening to it. So I think that's the idea he's trying to mention over here, which is very important to speak things out. And this is something which we're very familiar with, but the Musar teachers always mention this idea. What a person does on the outside, it definitely penetrates one's inner emotions as well. Even though you think, well, what's it going to do just by going through the motions? Going through the motions, if I'm looking for an inspiration, then like we're pointing out over here, my outer actions will definitely penetrate and they will make an impression on my inner emotions as well. Like he's saying, do something on an outer manifestation of an inspiration, laharos ava, to show how much you love something, v'yira, and how much you have respect for it, the simcha, how much happiness you have, ukedoma, davra be'ito, in its right time, this is what you need to do. Kasher tzorach kach. Just as it is, Yanika b'hakoros ponav. And I'll see it on his face. Utshunu his gufo, and with his motions, call the lecha l'mecha shalag. Don't be afraid of people laughing at you. Hamalig l'merzik yura. It looks like you're being overly, not you're going beyond yourself. Ko yasav. This is what you should do. Ki yisoris chitzon. Because an outward manifestation, ma'or v'gorim hisoris pnimi. What we do on the outside will definitely have an impact on the inside. I just want to share a story with you. This is something that happened with one of my Tamilim many years ago. I'm going to deliberately say it in general so that it shouldn't find its way to the address. But anyway, one of my students was in a profession, and he couldn't find a job in that profession. So you had to, out of desperation, in order to pay the rent and pay his bills, he needed to take on a different job. And he told me, he says, I don't like the job. And I just don't like it. So I told him, I said, you know what you should do? You should take a picture of your family and you keep it with you. And as long as you're doing this job, I said, you just look at that picture and you say to yourself, I'm not doing this job. I'm showing how much I love my family. What I'm doing now is I'm not doing the job. I'm expressing one of the ways that how much I care about my family. If we look at things from a certain perspective, then it takes on a whole different meaning. It's not going through a menial task. And the same thing over here when we want to inspire ourselves and we're doing things, mitzvahs and things like that. These are ways of showing how much I love Hashem and how much I care for, how much I appreciate what I've been given in life. That's what mitzvahs are all about. If I look at it as just a perfunctory action, so then after a while I'm not inspired by it anymore. It just becomes, happenstance. But if a person looks at it not as just going through the motions of doing things, but rather as an expression of my love and my appreciation of everything that Hashem has given me in my life, and it takes on a whole different approach, a whole different attitude. And Be'ezrat Hashem, this is one of the steps that we can take in our preparing to coming for Kabbalah Satorah. Okay, we'll stop over here, gentlemen, unless there are any questions. If not, then Yitzhak Hashem, I wish you a Chodesh Tov, a very special Rosh Chodesh. Yitzhak Hashem, we're coming close, and Be'ezrat Hashem will continue tomorrow then. Okay, have an amazing day, gentlemen.
Thank you, Rabbi.
Okay. Chodesh Tov, everybody should be
well. I posted something on the chat, Rabbi Sternberg. In this past week's Torah Avigdor, something similar to what Rabbi was saying. Rabbi Victor Miller says to make lists of things that that bother you and to constantly carry it in your pocket and go over it, even when the things aren't bothering you. And then when the thing actually happens, you have built up, I don't know if it's a resistance, but a sort of a tolerance for those things more than not being, having these types of lists or pictures.
Right.
All right. Thank you very much. Have a good day.
Thank you. To Chodesh Tov, everyone. Okay. Be well.
Chodesh Tov, Rabbi. That was beautiful. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Welcome. Pleasure. Okay. Mayor, is that you?
Yep.
Okay. So we thank you for the shir. Thank you very much, Mayor, for sponsoring the shir.
My pleasure.
Very much.
Thanks, Rabbi. Chodesh Tov. That was awesome.
Oh, David, how are you? Good to see you. Okay.
Good to see you, Rabbi. Bye.
Okay. All the best. Okay. Take care. Bye.